Hi, I'm just going to prepare a bed to put some carrots, onions and leeks in. And if you take a look at where my hoe is at the moment, I'm going to just hoe the top of this bed. You can see it's kind of pretty, I mean this hasn't been weeded at all since last year because all we ever do is no dig gardening. So I'm just loosening the top layer here, and then because we've had quite a lot of dry weather, I'm just going to now put some water down, and then I'm going to top dress it with this homemade compost here. And then after that I'll show you another shot of it finished, and then I'll show you how I'm going to put the carrots and the onions and the leeks in. Come here and have a look. What I've done here is I've watered like this twice already, and I've hoed it in because it's so dry. You'll be amazed at just how much water you need to get the. So now I'm just going to add, this is just compost that I've made myself. Just going to add that on the top like this, all out here. And what we're right next to is a whole series of pots that when the weather's right, I'm just going to put tomatoes in, and they'll be tied up to the top so that they climb nicely. So now that's beautiful homemade compost all the way along there, just like that. And now I'm going to water it once more, and then I'll show you how I sow the seeds. So if you can pan down to here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just form a little channel with these hoes, so with these stakes and with these canes. So there's one channel, let's just form another one here. So I'm just making a little tiny channel. Let's just make sure they're both similar sort of length. So there's your channel. It doesn't need to be really deep, but that's your channel. Let's just turn that round. So these are a bit bent, these canes. So I'm putting these right next to the tomatoes because I want to make up all of the space so that I've not got the whole area just dedicated to tomatoes. So the thing is, what I'm going to plant now is I've got two cats that love to go into the garden. So and we've got to think of multiple pests and multiple problems. And the carrot fly love carrots, but they hate onions and they hate leeks. So I'm going to put leeks and onions right next to my carrots. Now, carrot flies only bother when they've got carrot. They don't bother with your seeds. So you don't need to worry about covering them with fine mesh or anything like that. But we're just going to sprinkle them down. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm sprinkling them reasonably thickly along that line that I was just telling you before. So the carrots are all going along here like this. And we're going to do a bit of an experiment with onions and leeks. And we're going to see if they hate onions more than leeks. So I'm just putting these in the whole length of that thing fairly thickly, because you won't get even germination on all of it. Yeah, they won't all germinate, but yeah, that's that done. Okay, so that's the carrots. That's a variety called, I think it's Autumn King. And I'm going to put some typica. This is called onion typica. These were from last year's seeds, and I'm going to sow those in a similar way. So we've got some onions, and I'm going to sow them halfway. So we're going to have onions that side and leeks that side. So I'm just going to do them in the same way, just sort of sprinkle them reasonably thickly. Now, if you, as these grow, you're going to find that you can pick them as salad onions, or you can leave them to grow into full-sized onions. So I'm just going to plant them thickly and then let the rest of them grow into big onions. Sorry, plant the seeds, sow them thickly, pull out the little ones as salad onions, and then let the ones that are left grow as big onions. And with leeks, what I'm going to do with the leeks is I'm going to sow them thickly, similar sort of thing. I'm going to sow these thickly, but when they come up, I shall transplant them. So this is like my nursery bed. once they come up, they'll be transplanted. And the difference between a leek and an onion is a leek is a lot darker green. So all I'm going to do now is just cover them over like this, and just cover the seeds just a little bit like this all the way down. You get mucky hands, but who cares? And then to stop, so one is the companion planting with the onions and the leeks next to the carrots. I have done it before, it's not 100% successful, but it does work. And to keep the cats off, try and get through this. Okay, so this will just stop the cats from scratching, because I've got two wonderful cats that love having a scratch. And this will, if I can get those in, just stop them scratching up all my beautiful new laid beds and using it as a tool. You'll see some growth there that will start coming up, and by probably mid-June you can pick your first onions. I'll be transplanting the leeks to a bigger place so that they've got more space to grow. And that's that done. And then as May comes to the end, we'll be filling these with tomatoes, and they'll be strung up, and we'll have a beautiful harvest of tomatoes by hopefully about mid-July.